Hi, Perry Power here, and today we're going to talk about property auctions. We're going to cover specifically 3 myths to do with property auctions and selling your property via auction, and why it might just be the perfect sale method for your situation that you've never even considered. So let's jump in. When I was 12, all I dreamed of was having my sold ball outside of a house. And then when I was 26, I had one, which was a £1.2 million house. If you choose your estate agent correctly, you'll sell quickly for the highest price. This is Power Bespoke, expert negotiators. So I wanted to do this video more of an education piece. I think there's a lot of misconceptions and myths out there to do with selling via auction. Homes Under the Hammer, the TV programme, is a great programme, but it shares most of the time the horror stories. An auction can be a great sale method in certain situations. It's a great sale method if you need speed and certainty and the best price. It could be a great sale method if you've had a couple of chains collapse and you need your property sold quickly for the best price so you avoid losing your onward purchase. And we've recently sold this property in southwest London, and interestingly, I went to see that client and he had never considered auction. But when he had explained to me, because we've got every sale method available to us here at Power Bespoke, when he explained to me that why he's moving, when he needs to be in his new place and that kind of thing, I knew immediately that auction would be the best sale method for him. So that property launched with a 650 plus guide price. It achieved 710,000, so £60,000 over the guide price, had 40 bids, and it went from on the market to exchange contracts in 17 days. So let's get into the myths, all right? So the first myth is that my house isn't falling down. So most people think if it's in an auction, it must have a problem with it. That's really not always the case. A lot of the time, yes, it's in an auction because it's not mortgage worthy, in which case it can't be sold via a private sale if a buyer's getting a mortgage. But I would say 20 to 30% of the time, it comes down to the seller needing speed and certainty. And the property is in perfectly good condition, potentially, but they need guarantee that it's going to be exchanged contracts in a clear timescale so that they can move on with their life, whatever they want to move on to. So myth number 2, this is a valid point because a lot of people assume they're going to have to sell their house cheap if they put it in an auction. Now, that's not always the case. In fact, it's rarely the case. But what happens is you have to dangle the carrot with auction. So you have to set the guide price at a market competitive level. You assess the market. Let's say you've got a 3-bed semi-detached house. The market value of that private treaty is 500,000. You might guide that at 425 plus. You can guide price and you can set the reserve price, so the lowest price it could possibly sell for, higher than the guide price. But best practice is to guide and reserve at the same figure. But let's take that example of a 500 grand house, 425 plus guide price, and it's got a £500,000 kind of majority market value. We've had situations where properties have sold more than we would have expected to have got on the open market. Because the crucial thing with an auction is it's a competitive bidding environment. That's really crucial. And it's transparent. So everybody can see everybody else bidding on the property. That creates competition. There's only 2 ways to get a premium price for a house, and that's through fear of loss and competition. An auction actually pulls on both of those strategies. One is competition. You can see the person in the room, or you can see the person on the online platform bidding on the property as well. And fear of loss, because you can see that they're bidding on it and you don't want to lose it, so you might offer a bit more than what you wanted to pay to secure it. So the great thing with auction is you would have to reserve. You kind of need to be prepared to accept less for your property. Be prepared, that's the important word, prepared to accept less for the fact that you're going to get speed and certainty. So when that auction closes, when the gavel comes down, when the bidding stops online, it's exchanged contracts. No renegotiation, no 4 months of legal conveyancing for solicitors to ask loads of different questions that you might perceive to be a bit pointless at the end of the day. So speed and certainty, but you can get a situation, and it regularly happens, where the property just keeps going and the bidding keeps going and it flies above what you expected you could have achieved even in the open market, let alone an auction. So myth number 3, this is an important one, because let's say you put your property for sale via public auction and the auction date is the 30th of October. You might think, oh, that's a long time, I want to get moving. What if someone comes along and wants to buy it before that? Well, that is possible. You can still do out of room or out of auction sales if the buyer and the seller accept. So take this situation, you launch a house to market for sale by public auction the 30th of October. You start having viewings, guide price is $425. Someone says, Perry, I really like the place. I would like to offer $475, but I don't want it going to the auction room. I want to secure it now. If the seller agrees to that, that's completely fine, but you would just exchange contracts on it and you would still purchase the property, or you would still sell the property under auction conditions. That's the crucial part. So people assume if they don't sell the property in the auction room, then it can't be sold under auction terms. So that is not the case. The sale method is auction, immediate exchange of contracts, 10% deposit paid, 28-day completion. All those things can be changed by agreement between buyer and seller. So there we go. There's 3 very quick myths around selling property via auction. Now, as always, myself and the wider team at Power Bespoke would love to help. If you've got any questions at all about selling via auction, via committed transaction, via private treaty, drop us a message somewhere around this video. You'll be able to contact us and we would love to help, and we'll speak to you soon.